There may be human beings outside this window at some point. Oh God. Every time I fire these up, I. Anyway, there's an app that desperately wants to, always wants to update. Sometimes succeeds, sometimes doesn't, but definitely wants to do it at the worst times because there never is a good time. Like if I'm using the app, I'm using the app. I don't want to. I just moved. I've got this weird. I just moved a picture of a person, who doesn't consent to be on the, and then there's people up there, and I've got this weird idea that, um, all people should consent if they're going to be on the internet. But then again, it's also impossible. And I know next to nobody sees what I do. And the only people who see what I do are people I know, and yet the stuff that I have to talk out affects people I know, and I don't want to be like passive aggressive, but don't. I mean, this is my therapy. For some reason, it doesn't work if I don't stream it. Hi, my name is Rob. I'm an abstract painter who refuses to give up despite not earning a living. And I refuse, I'm stubborn, I'm not changing despite what a mess I am. No, I am changing. Uh, I'm at humanissom.org, humanissom.org. Humanism is my brand of humanism, unconditional love, no shame. Those are the things I won't change. Those are my principles. I refuse to change the way I look at things to get along better. And for those reasons, I think about moving out of my current situation. Well, I kind of have to move out of my current situation for financial reasons, but I also have chronic back pain. And I was just looking up um, one of the things that stresses me out is medication for my back pain. Um, oh boy. I'm struggling. I think I need to write a letter to specific people who care about me, but I don't know what to do. So, I guess I is it because I have two hands? I break things down into polar extremes. I don't like doing that, but I feel a natural whatever. There's short term and long term sh- self care. My short term self care is concerned, well, first of all, I barely go beyond that. Wow. Every time I talk about myself, I see links between the personal and the global, the political, the societal. Um, like, I think the problems that we're facing as humans are that same uh, struggle between immediate self care and long term self care. And it's like no one feels well enough to bypass the immediate self care for the long term what's best. And, that shows up in the way people vote and in financial planning. And, um, but when it comes to myself, every day I have debilitating back pain that I have to overcome. So then I have to, I've found some medications that work okay, but they mess with my stomach. So then I feel sick to my stomach and don't want to do anything. So what's that's a weird trade-off to go from not wanting to do anything because I'm in pain and can't move out of bed to the pain is a little bit reduced. I mean, I guess significantly reduced so I can talk, function, but I'm not thinking very far ahead because I feel sick to my stomach. And so I still just want to lie down. But for a few days or a week, I felt good and motivated. I have been asking for help, but I don't think anyone's capable of helping beyond financial, which helps a lot. Or just, I mean, people will listen, but they're not going to help me get out of my apartment. And they're going to communicate their emotional wishes to me. And that's going to slow me down too. I guess I feel like I have to be more selfish than ever to get out. And at the same time, I mean, I rely on this isn't the way I want to do it. I'd rather do it as a team, but no one has the desire or capacity to take on, to share my burden, you know, which I get, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm back to thinking that I don't have time to do any planning and I'm just going to have to walk away from everything. So maybe I just need to pack up a suitcase or two. I can't do it because everything requires judgment of what to keep, what not to keep, and then that exhausts all of my energy and I don't get anything else done. And so it's easier just to stay here or go to sleep. But the longer I stay here, I mean, I have to be out of here by October, November. I have this idea that I want to spend up to 6 months at a time in Mexico. Um, so I was just figuring out, I don't have the energy to explain that. All right. I did these calculations. I can say this. The medication that I'm currently taking so that I'm not in bed in pain 24 hours a day is over the counter in Mexico. Whereas here, I have to pay for a doctor's appointment and a prescription. But here, I get 44 doses administered 22 at a time, 22 plus a refill, or like 45 doses total because it's 22 point something plus refill. Because I'm taking more than I'm prescribed. So that's a big pain in the butt. I would need a doctor who's more who's good at actually paying attention to me, which is a lot to fight for in the U.S. But or anywhere probably. I mean, my alternative. Well, it's over the counter in Mexico, but there are other things that I think I need to find. If I'm living in Mexico, I'd like to find doctors, but I don't speak Spanish, and I'm sure there are plenty of doctors who speak English. But I do notice that in terms of booking appointments, if a doctor, if a website, if a medical practice in Mexico has a lot of material in English, then it's sort of geared for, I guess, what's called medical tourism, which in a way that's what I'm doing, but I actually want to become a long-term resident over time. But and so those prices are in some cases on par with the U.S. I suppose they're less because, but anyway, but I've been getting free medical appointments, but that requires going through a whole rigmarole, tying myself to one specific person and one specific doctor, the doctors I don't like, and then I was trying to switch to a different doctor, but then there's a whole rigmarole to get switched from one doctor to another doctor. Apparently, like the reason I go to the doctor I don't like is that my friend made it really easy for me to get in to see them, and the person who is offering to sponsor me to see a different doctor isn't making it really easy. Um, so that's probably not going to happen. But like if I traveled to Mexico tomorrow, I could get the medication that currently requires me to see a doctor. I could get it without seeing a doctor, but it comes. I don't get 22 doses at a time. I get 5 doses at a time in a little box. The most I've found is 15, but I'm not sure exactly what, uh, because of the way the website is, I don't know. The package that I can buy 5 doses is, I know what it is. It's the same pill I'm taking now. The package that I could buy up to 15, I'm not 100% sure what it is because for some reason it costs so much more than what it costs here. So, um, based on based on my calculations, I can buy this pill over the counter in Mexico for 50 cents per dose, US. That's great. Um, Here it costs me $1.81 per dose. So in terms of like if this is my life, if this is what my life revolves around, taking this particular medication, then you know that's 50 cents is a lot less than $1.81. Um, but I only get 5 doses at a time, which means I'd be buying like 2 boxes a week. I mean, that's not even, it should be 3 boxes a week. Um, and maybe since it's sold over the counter, maybe that's normal, but I kind of have to assume, based on the way that it's packaged, that they don't expect people to be taking it at that rate. I don't know if it would cause raised eyebrows. Um, but I mean, if I lived there, then it wouldn't be a big deal for me to go in and buy the box whenever I wanted it. And if it's over the counter, I could go to, if I felt uncomfortable, I could go to different pharmacies throughout the city. Or, I could figure out, I could do the test. I could buy 3 boxes and see what happens. But that's every week. Not that the price is still, less than a third of what I'm paying here. But going through 3 boxes a week, uh, I mean, is it worth paying between 3 and 4 times more to get it in to get it in a larger quantity? Plus, one weird thing about this website is it showed a price and I had a red line. It showed it like it was on sale. So I don't know if this 50 cents per dose is a temporary thing. I think it's just I think it's just like some retailers pretend that, well, I compared it to another place where it would be almost twice as much. So still less than the US, but uh, I understand why they're advertising their lower price because it's a lower price than competing pharmacies. So, um, and I guess, I mean, if there's no legal consequences and there's no reason for me to be embarrassed, I could go and buy 3 boxes a week of this medication. And um, I mean, I sort of appreciate the fact that it's not packaged in such a way as to be importable. I mean, I can't. I'd have to go down and um, I mean, to make the trip worthwhile. I mean, I'd need to buy, I don't know, 8 boxes or something. Well, I mean, maybe that's no problem, but I doubt they even have that many on the shelf. But I mean, like if I wanted to bring it back to the US, my current setup is I pay $1.81 per dose in order to get, but it runs out. I'm taking it faster than it's prescribed. So I'm getting 3 weeks worth um, to last a month, kind of is what I'm saying. Um, if I were in Mexico, I would need 4 boxes to get the same amount ish. Or wait, yeah. But my current setup isn't working for me. Anyway, this is just one of the confusing things that's bumping around in my brain as I try to imagine moving. Another is that the weather of where I want to move is a little bit colder than I want it to be. And that makes me anxious for my own functioning and for what I need to pack and for the prospect of my boyfriend visiting me who hates the cold. But I shouldn't, I mean, I really shouldn't base my long term plans around his comfort because I don't know if if we're gonna be long term. Um, Believe it or not, I'm feeling better talking about this stuff, or maybe the pills I took are kicking in. My house doesn't smell good. I've got some grease to clean in the kitchen. I don't know what to do. There are certain people I want to communicate with who aren't really available, and there are other people communicating with me, but I'm not really available. I could, like lots of times when I feel bad, I try to come up with some task that, well, like right now I'm making tea, which means that in like 11 minutes from now, I have to remember to go in there. Um, we are already living inside the architecture of totalitarianism. So I do think that's important, but I also think it's important to recognize that it's not totally new. Um, I could wash these sheets, but then I actually want to go back to bed right now. All right, here's something I can do. I don't like these sheets at all, so I'm going to try to fit them back in their plastic packaging, which won't be possible, but huh. But wait, there's more. I don't know what happened. Well, some of my sheets, I had, I thought I had three, at least two sets that I liked, but apparently not anymore. I'm just down. I don't know why this is upsetting me right now, but because I just love to be in bed when I visit my boyfriend. I don't like the sheets. It has an effect on me. I was planning to take the sheets I like with me when I moved to Mexico, but evidently I only have one set that I liked, and I thought I had two. And this is not going to fit in there. I mean, the only sheets I like, well, oh God. What time is it? 2:40. Fuck, on a Friday. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do this. I mean, the point is, I just don't like these sheets. Why do I have to put them in the same plastic that they came in? Guess I can just go throw them anywhere. I, I don't know how to do anything. This closet, I had the idea that I would put the things I want in this closet. Oh, I think I started keeping. I might have another set of sheets I like in here. Nope. Well, it's hard to see what I want and what I don't want when I've got just so much stuff. Oh my god. I can't function. One of the reasons I want to move. The reason I want to move is that I can't function as things are. But I have to function in order to move. No one is available to help at the level that I really need. I came home motivated to move with the idea of doing the minimum things to get out, specifically putting aside the things I want to keep for my, I just, that's fine to keep. I am struggling. There are here are some reasons that even this attitude is seems to be more than I can. Even this attitude, brackets, minimum gathering of things I want seems to be more than I can accomplish. There's so much stuff, and I am alone. Others have their own motivations. No one is available to me, help me transition to a new phase of life, not the practical stuff I have to do. I feel that I have to accept doing a poor job just to escape. Poor job just to focus on escape from current situation. I have to accept that things won't go to the friends and family that I would like. I have to accept that I will not enter my next phase all with most of the things I will want. I feel that I have to accept losing most paintings. Okay. I'm just going to put that message in every shared note folder that matters to me. Okay. I think I'll put that on. Uh, okay, at least I did that. Let's read it again. I can't function. One of the reasons I want to move, the reason I want to move, is that I can't function as things are. But I have to function in order to move. No one is available to help at the level that I really need. I came home motivated to move with the idea of doing the minimum things to get out, specifically putting aside the things I want to keep. Even this attitude, minimum gathering of things I want, seems to be more than I can accomplish. There's so much stuff, and I am alone. Others have their own motivations. No one is available to help me transition to a new phase of life, not the practical stuff I have to do. I feel that I have to accept doing a poor job just to focus on escape from current situation. I have to accept that things won't go to the friends and family that I would like. I have to accept that I will not enter my next phase with most of the things I will want. I feel that I have to accept losing most paintings. It's a beautiful day. I bought this on special and I really like it. Mucinex Soothing Comfort Honey Echinacea. The the people outside seem to be on the move. Hi, I'm gonna check on these people doing work outside my window. See how close they are to my floor. Okay, they're not at risk of coming face to face with me anytime soon. Um, thank you. One of the things that's difficult for me to think about leaving. Um, this would be a great place to live if not for the except the people um, of people of the U.S. are not my favorite people. So I've been contemplating moving to Mexico. Um, hold on, I'm going to open this on my laptop so I don't have to get up to see what you're saying. Um, um, I think I have to watch on Twitch to see the oops to see the chat. Oh, I've got to. I was doing some cooking. Not really cooking. I'm making tea in the other room. Okay, I can see. Where's the chat? Thanks. I love being slow. So, I've been saying this for years. It's an inversion of what a politician would say. A politician would run for office and say, "What makes this country great are the people," you know. And I don't know. A decade ago, I was with a friend, and we were driving into the. You're probably familiar enough with the United States to know that there's a lot of abandoned downtowns, and so we were over there where it's beautiful, where the buildings are, and this friend was noticing. I guess they hadn't spent as much time in the heart of the old city as old city. I mean, in the U.S., that's not that old, um, but anyway, they were. The reason I emphasize old is that there are very few buildings um, built in my lifetime with care. So the buildings that are remarkable, notable, soul fulfilling, sustaining, beautiful are old, usually in my area. Um, so I was taking a friend and downtown, and they were noticing like, oh my gosh, this these are beautiful. And I said, oh yeah, this town is great. Uh, if not for the people, except for the people. So I'm the opposite of a politician. I mean, the United States is absolutely gorgeous. Um, would be wonderful, except for the people. Um, I'm a brat, I guess, to say something like that. But um, uh, yes, no, I hear you. I live here for the climate. Um, I love the climate of where I live, and as I'm contemplating moving, I'm contemplating moving to a place that would have much more beautiful buildings and I believe much more beautiful people. But the climate is a little bit cooler than well. So where I live, we have seasons, and where I'm moving, they don't have so much seasons. It's just sort of almost the same year round. Um, uh, yeah, I just like it to be in the 20s. Um, so um, and where I'm contemplating moving has a lot of often goes down um, like I think next week it's got lows as low as 7. I think it commonly goes to like 11. Um, Even though I'm American, I'm speaking Celsius. Um, but so oh, but the highs in this, I'm looking at towns in the center of Mexico, but the highs are not over 30. So like on a apparently it's just really common in the central cities of Mexico to have a 10-degree night and a 27-degree high in the day. And I hear wonderful things about Iceland. Um, I I don't say, I mean, it's so simplistic to say like a-holes. I think that there's a sickness. I mean, I just make things so complicated. Yeah, I hear you. I like the 20s. Oh, but so and my city gets that in the spring and fall, and sometimes the winter. But the summer here is unbearable. So I'm kind of moving. Yeah. Well, when I say I make things complicated, I mean that to me it's simple to say like, oh, the people are a-holes. It's more complicated and even, I don't know, condescending for me to say what I really think, which is that America was founded by Europeans for the purpose of exploitation. And so all of throughout the entire short, relatively, history of the United States, white people, the purpose of living here has been to exploit the land, the resources, and non-white people. And that is still true um, in terms of who does the hardest work for the least amount of money and who doesn't get full justice, who doesn't get to reap the financial rewards. And I think that the people I don't like are the people I come from who think that we deserve everything on a silver platter. We deserve to just own everything and control everything because of some inherent superiority. I find all of that really repulsive. And yet, like it's really difficult to have any white friends or family who don't plop out of their mouth something um, offensive just without thinking because it's baked in. So that's what I think. Um, I mean, racism is driving the current government that we're stuck with until 2029. Um, anyway, uh, but it's not just racism, it's just this America centrism of, I don't know. I'm starting to believe that the only way to have a better world is to really look at things globally. I mean, I'm not, I would, I would, so people are moving in the streets, but this presents two possible, like the best, I mean, the next scheduled elections are in 2026. So that's an awfully long time to suffer without a chance for voting different. Now, there are always some special elections, like when somebody retires, or I mean, but probably not enough to change the control. And then the other problem is that people marching in the streets are, in a way, just what the current regime wants because they want the excuse to say that there's an uprising. They want to push the people down. Um, no, I think, yeah, like the internet. I mean, I am friends with people from all over because of the internet, basically. Um, but that's not the way, I guess, the voting majority lives. And with the big internet companies, there's control. Uh, a lot of bad ideas are promoted online too. That's what I'm trying to say. And then like the scams, whether it's regular people. I don't know enough about who runs scams because I think there have been documentaries that show that it's not just regular people. There are like gangs or whatever that are using bots or using uh, forced. They're forcing people to perpetrate scams. I don't know. So I understand that. I don't know. I mean, what I had heard about the German vote was that AfD is strengthening but not in control. That they were not, that they were, but I mean, just the fact that it's strengthening is frightening, right? Yeah. I mean, I think one of the problems, yeah, yeah. Well, you have to have hope. We have to have hope. I think one of the problems, like in the US, is that after the 2020 election, that um, Trump did not win, there not enough change. The ruling, the Democratic, once they had power, they didn't. I don't feel that they saw they were in a state of emergency. I mean, they were focused on, well, how can we uh, rescue the economy from COVID? How can we, I mean, they did promote a lot of very positive things, but I don't think they were laser focused on the rift in the country. Um, I think that at least, I mean, I don't know deeply, I don't know enough into your politics to know what happens, but I mean, after the vote, but um, um, at least in the US and France too, I think. The right is promising radical change. And then the center left wins and they promote stability without, so they're promoting the opposite of radical change. But the way things are going about, yeah, I'm listening. But the way things are going for the average person, we need radical change. So like from my point of view, like the bad guys are offering radical change, and the good guys are offering more of the same. And people who want far left change usually end up having to settle for the center left with the hope of slowly moving things to greater recognition, uh, greater civil rights, greater um, more unions, things like that. But it's slow. And then the radical right, when they get power, they do world-changing things like what Trump is doing to the economy, or like in a way like the British Brexit vote and things like that. Like these things are. Oh, by the way, one of my opinions, since, since is that there's something specifically wrong with English-speaking brains because when I dream of moving, I think like to me, English-speaking countries are not appealing. Even like the best one, which might be Canada or New Zealand. Uh, anyway, I mean, I sound crazy, but yeah. So simple solutions, right? That I don't think people have the patience. It's so nice that you told me to go slow with whatever I'm doing. I don't think people have the patience. So I started this stream talking about um, I'm trying to make big changes in my life for my, so that's like my long-term self-care. But every day becomes consumed with my short-term self-care. I have chronic pain. I'm dependent on prescriptions to just function right now. And those prescriptions require me to see a doctor and it costs this kind of money, and like it I feel trapped and I want to move, but I've got all this stuff I need to do to move. The hardest part is determining like what do I want to keep? Like the decisions that I can't outsource are um, you know, are like there's certain family heirloom things that I'd like to see go to family members, and there's certain, and I've got all this, I'm a painter, I've got all this art, and I'd like to see that go to, but anyway, I don't feel I have the spoons, if you know that lingo, to do all this. And that's okay. I mean, it's okay. I'm complaining about things that I'm very lucky. Like basically, I'm trying to act in advance before, but while I have the opportunity to make choices, because someday I could be unable to have those choices. So I want to sell my place while there's still people who are there to buy it before, the water level is in the basement, and I want to anyway, yeah, I'm trying to take small steps to lead to a big change. Hmm. I mean, I'm laughing at this. Anyway, I don't know when you tuned in, but for a big chunk of this, I was just like quiet. Um, I started using Twitch because it gives me the opportunity um, to uh, so I'm a big the place I'm the happiest is the Fediverse. I have an account on Mastodon, and so like so I don't like corporations, and yet I do these videos, and this is Amazon owned, and then I send them on to YouTube, Google owned. But I do that because I don't think my because videos take up so much space, and I don't want to pay for it, and I don't want to burden the community with my nonsense. But I make these streams as like talk therapy, and I just talk about, and I really notice when I don't stream, I notice that I get sad, and um, so it's good for me. Sometimes what I talk about are things like ADHD because, like, so I want to move, but I'm not moving tomorrow. So I thought, well, I need to kind of go through and designate like what's the stuff that I want to keep. And so I started with books. Anyway, then I thought, although I haven't been through all my books, but I started with some of my books. But I'm getting distracted. I Oh, so one of the things I talked about recently concerning ADHD is this idea that I usually I get frustrated when I think like here's something I need to do and step one is blah. But then it turns out in order to do step one, I actually have to do like there's a step negative one. So for instance, um, there's a big closet in the hall, like a storage thing, and that was my first thought. I was like, oh, I'll put the stuff I want to move with me there. But I'd have to empty that and it's big. So then I thought, okay. I'll use this closet as the place that I put the stuff that I want to keep. But again, I have to empty it first because I don't want to keep all this stuff. So I got about, well, I haven't paid attention to these jackets, but I tried on different shirts that I mean, it's really hard to it's like when I used to write like in Word or whatever the Apple equivalent was back then, or maybe I was using Word. Anyway, like I'm that guy who spends too much time thinking about formatting, which is why I like the Fediverse now because it's plain. I mean, I've learned to focus less on formatting. Um, I don't know. Let's see what you've been up to. I mean, I guess I feel that same way. I could have just turned. Oh, my Mac is so old that that the battery doesn't charge. So that's why I didn't move the computer because I'm afraid it might uh, power down if it gets disconnected. Um, yeah. So what I am feeling is that I want to make these changes, but I don't think I have the energy to do it well. So even though I'm not a refugee, I feel like one in my head because I just feel like about the most that I can process will be like a bag or two. And then I plan to kind of leave. It's pretty selfish, I guess, but I want to. Okay, the chronic pain I experience affects my ability to function and my ability to think. And I've been reaching out to friends and family and letting them know how desperate things are. And it's not that they don't care, it's just that they're, you know, busy with their own lives. And so in January, I felt so bad that I wanted to just not exist. And so I started to conceptualize, well, what would it look like if, because when people die and then other people have to uh, sell or do something with their stuff, and that's just kind of like the way that I have been seeing things lately. That I guess it's selfish, but I just want to move on to a different phase of my life. I'm an artist. Things that I want to do involve writing and community building and emotional expression and spreading positive. I mean, one of the reasons that I want to move to Mexico is it's like, well, at least it's still close enough that friends and family could visit me and I could visit them. Although I've been afraid because of what's going on with, yeah, I mean, I just can't believe how hostile, I mean, I just can't believe what's happening. No, I don't use Discord. I think I think I looked into it before. I mean, like I really try to minimize the number of corporations I start new relationships with, and I don't think I have a positive view of Discord. I like the community-owned aspect of Mastodon, and I use some federated blogs. I'm on NeoCities. I'm on um, a couple different blogs, but I mean, you could always. I don't know. I mean, I did. I did start a Signal account. Oh, but then, oh, speaking of corporations, because I want to move, I'm gonna have to start using WhatsApp again. And I hate, of all the corporations, I probably hate Meta the most. But I mean, it's it's just there's no choice. I hate the idea that I'll never be free of these evil. Anyway, um, one of the things I did last week was, or a few days ago, I don't know. I was I was had a poetry book here, and I was reading poetry. I can show you some of my art. Um, I started making these. Oh, I gotta be careful. Not careful. Well, I like being careful. I just want to put these back where they belong. Um, oh, well, I mean, I made a website for selling art before I move out, artsy.com, but it's with an R, extra R at the front. So artsy.com, because I sign my paintings with an R. Um, I can talk about this one pretty easily. So this one is unusual in that it is. Oh, I forgot. I'm pointing towards the laptop instead of the camera. Um, most of the time, the corners are neat and they come all the way around, but this is flat on top of a wooden frame with the frame being visible. Um, so I call it underpainting. I had a it's um it's a mix of oil and acrylic. I had I used to rent a studio downtown in one of the old buildings that away. And um because because so many because what used to be vibrant and full of life in the 50s is half deserted now. Um, there was a former store that the second level is now uh, abandoned, and so they were renting it out to artists for studios. And, um, or I guess, um, like it used to be the headquarters of a big store, and so now they rent out some things on the ground level, but the first and second level were um, anyway. So a guy, another guy who another artist who rented a studio was moving out, and he sold me his some of his supplies. And that happened to me a lot. I was renting in the same place for uh all I can say right now is years. um Many years. And so because art can is an expense and few people make money, there are a lot of artists who give up out of frustration, or they're tired of spending the money. So, um, so this, so when the guy sold me his like raw supplies, he also sold me this he was beginning a work in progress. So some of what's visible on the base layer of this was painted by somebody else. He wasn't he wasn't an abstract artist. He painted, but he would often have sort of abstract-ish backgrounds, and then he would build on top of it like a landscape. He mostly painted landscapes, but there are also people who will paint like a portrait, but in the background they'll have, abstract um, backgrounds just to provide visual interest, I guess. I only paint abstract. I started that because that's what I was drawn to at museums. I like to be able to go and stare into a thing and kind of be transported to whatever I'm thinking about. If I see if I see art, like if there's a person's face in it or their eyes, I I would feel overwhelmed with this like empathy for, just a even if it's just a painted person. It's kind of like do you ever sometimes I don't want to watch a show or movie that's too moving. Like I would rather have a cartoon or something on in the background, or just like um sometimes sometimes I just don't have the emotional space to deal with someone else's feelings, even if it's fiction. And so for me, abstract is a kind of therapy where I can go like as shallow or as deep as I feel in that moment. I've got a couple of favorites. Uh, this one I use this one I use a lot in terms of my this is like my logo. Um, so that's why my site is R artsy, or I don't know. I don't know my alphabet in German, but RARTSY.com. And oh, and then here's another one that so these are similar in that they're mostly like flat, and I mean I did something to make them. These are kind of unusual, and I love them, and I want to keep them. Oh, that one. Okay, so I call it underpainting, and because I'm trying to honor the way that it came to be in my life. The fact that an existing artist was quitting and liquidated all of his work to me, I mean, all of his materials to me, including works in progress, to me, that's very emotional. He acted like there was no emotion to it whatsoever. But to me, I felt that it's, thank you, I felt that it's emotional for someone to walk away from what they've been doing for years. He wasn't a close friend. I don't keep up with him, but I suspect that people who are really, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he walked away for good. I like to think that he came back to it at some point. But anyway, I took this painting that was partially started by him and I just added some of my own stuff on top of it. Oh, and that's why I leave. So this guy worked. He was so meticulous. He wanted he wanted the he wanted the sides to be painted, but he wanted them to be like continuous with the landscape. So he intentionally designed this. This is like the pre-process, and so then when he's done, he would stretch all of this onto a smaller, not this small, but smaller. He would stretch it onto a smaller finished work, and that was part of his process. He was very particular about how he wanted his finished work to look. So I know, like a typical person who might buy a painting for their wall isn't going to like this with the staples and the edges peeling because it doesn't look finished, it doesn't look fancy, it doesn't look expensive. I keep it this way because it's a monument to the man who started it before me and the career of the person who, I mean, I have a lot of paintings that I just think I like to remember that artists struggle and that people have left the profession because they can't make a living. And I think that's, difficult. I mean, it's worth honoring. Um, so it's the kind of thing that, thank you. Wow. It's the kind of thing that, so like, there's a great meaning in what I do, but it's not, it doesn't fit with capitalism. It doesn't fit with marketing because it's just not. Um, right, here comes the. I mean, this is what I'm leaving behind. um, I wanna find a specific one. I'm gonna have to put this down. I'm just I'm just showing a bunch. Whoops. While I look for a specific one. But now I look at this and I'm like, all of this is a burden because I don't have space for it and I want to move, and it's all holding me back. This one has a hole in the center, but you can see when you look this way. Um, so anyway, um, I mean, I really made a mistake by painting so many, to be honest with you. Um, I didn't follow the laws of supply and demand. Okay, here it is. Oh, I love it when my memory is correct. I knew it was in this grouping. Um, so here's one that another artist started, and you can see um, there's a baby's face. There's two eyes, a nose, a cheek. So this is another one where I mean, I couldn't believe that someone was getting rid of a partially completed painting that, I mean, I assumed it was her own child. I mean, I don't know. Uh, but somebody sold me and gave away some of her materials, and I asked, repeatedly, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And so as I painted over it, I decided to keep some of that, and I call this one Monday's Child, which is a kind of a nursery rhyme poem. Monday's child is fair of face, and Tuesday's child, blah blah blah. I mean, it goes on and on. Um, yeah. So, oh, and this is wax. Some of this is red wax, not. I just gold spray paint. I'm just an experimenter. So yeah, I used to have a studio downtown, and there was a monthly uh, art walk when people would come into the studio in the evening, and it was really nice. I mean, I felt like I was contributing to the cultural life of my city by just by being there and people coming in, and oh, there's a bunch of outdoor furniture inside because they're doing work on the balconies. But I felt like I was contributing to the cultural life of my city by having a downtown studio and welcoming people into it once a month or more. But that didn't make any money. I had other jobs that I hated, and I had jobs that were contributing to the um, making the world a worse place, extracting money from the poor and consolidating it in the hands of the already wealthy. And I was a middleman in that process. When COVID came, I just stopped doing those kinds of jobs and said I would never do that kind of work again. And I started doing, I tried to do art full time, but I didn't make enough. So I've run through all my savings and I'm in debt, and so I'm going to move out. But like I say, this place is beautiful except for the people. I don't like. I don't. When I say I don't like, I just mean I'm not friends with my neighbors. Um, they're wealthy people. Their values are. I even lost a lot of friends who. Oh, I'm going to water my plants while I'm thinking about it. I even lost a lot of plants. I lost a lot of friends who. Um, I guess if I want to be super political, I'd call them neoliberals, just like um, people who have um, people who have people who aren't bigoted, people who have caring values, except when it comes to their money, and then they don't want to stop living the way that they're living, even if it meant. Well, and to be honest, there aren't a lot of it isn't clear, there aren't a lot of empowering things that someone can do that's going to help make things better. My friends who I criticize, or people I know who I criticize, are probably giving money to charities and stuff. But what I tried to get them to see is that the number one thing that they're doing, the number one effect that they're having on the world is their labor. And um, if their labor is contributing to wealth inequality, and most of the time it is, then their lifetime, no matter how much they give in charity, their lifetime effect is to make the world worse. I mean, I say that I try to say this gently and nicely, or I'll just say it like I used to say things like it in my Instagram, hoping that the people who needed to see it would see it. Um, for me, as an artist without a career, without any other career, I guess you could say it was easy for me to walk away from capitalism because I wasn't succeeding in it. I'm scrolling back through. Yeah, I maybe I could give a bunch of my work to other artists. Oh, that's amazing that you do that. I have so much stuff to deal with. Yeah, so I'm a humanist. Treating people like human beings is kind of the point. Agreed. I know that other room is nicer, but I'm having a hard time. Worth is one of my important words. I went through a I prefer to talk about self-worth or what people or um intrinsic worth, human worth. Um, there are a lot of uh, positivity accounts that will talk about what we deserve, and that word troubled me it comes because serve. If somebody tells me I deserve something, who's going to give it to me? Like serving is like from one to another. Um, and I don't believe in, God or the universe or whatever. So, and even if I did, I don't think I would believe that I deserved comfort or riches or fame or recognition or like, I don't think so. Yeah, I did a whole thing about like, I like a word like worth, um, even though it's financial, it's, it doesn't involve a hierarchy, I don't think. Like worth comes from exchange, whereas desert, I feel like service is a hierarchy. This is just my brain, but like, well, I mean, I don't think I believe in karma, but maybe I've never had anybody explain it to me beyond the simplistic, because I don't think just by doing, I don't think I think I created in myself, like, as difficult as things are for me in terms of finances and in terms of human connection with my society, I honestly feel like things used to be worse because I was running away from self knowledge. I was feeling a lot of cognitive dissonance. Um, I Now I feel like, oh, I know what my values are, and yes, they are in conflict with my society, and I have to endure that and figure out ways to escape it or go around it. But and that includes, unfortunately, most people I know, because most people I know are not don't feel the same way I do in terms of rejecting uh, capitalism or rejecting society's values. People want to succeed in it. Even people, they might say, "Well, I'm going to do these good things." I saw a video of someone describing, oh no, that's too long and complicated to get into, but basically, like I don't want to produce content thinking that I'm going to make money via ads because I think selling ads, I don't want people to be forced to watch ads. I think that's evil. I think it's brainwashing. Um, I don't want people to like and subscribe, and I mean, I don't want to manipulate people. I don't want to. I have a belief that lasting influence, like, I mean, the fact that there's a whole category of people called influencers, um, I believe in living according to my values, and the only way, I mean, the way that that is, if I'm going to have an influence, it's because people will see my example and say, I like the way that guy lives, and that's it. Like, it's not about buying something because I said so, or paying me money, or making me money via advertising. But I mean, the ways that I think don't sustain, I was going to say don't sustain the culture that we have, but the culture that we have is unsustainable. I do aspire to write a book or two, and I would love for those to be uh, to make me money. But at the same time, I would tell people to get it from the library, or I don't know. I don't know. I do get some, I do get sponsors, patrons, like individuals. I like that. That feels nice. That's like a gift, you know. People don't expect specific things. Um, they like knowing that I'm doing what I'm doing, and I do exchange paintings for donations. But because selling is so low on my list, I sell. I mean, I maybe two a year, maybe two paintings a year find their way to a new home. Um, yes. So so one of the things, hold on. If you don't mind, I'll read. It's just, oh wait a minute. I went to the wrong thing. Um, it's just like 1,500 words. No, not even that. Okay, so I was responding to uh, the people who are right wing or who call themselves conservative, um, who are judging people, categorizing groups, certain groups, labeling them as unacceptable. And so, um, without getting too much deeper into that, I'll start. at this point. I don't know why conservative minds categorize certain groups as unacceptable. I understand why right wing politicians rely on scapegoats to rile up voters and distract them from economic inequality. But when I lack understanding, I crave education to fill the gaps in my experience. So, of course, there are plenty of people who have opinions that aren't the same as mine, who have different experiences with mine. And, I might even think I don't like that, but I have this drive inside to try to at least understand. Um, I grew up, okay, so I changed in my life, I've changed from Catholic to humanist. I grew up obsessed with judgment, sins, confession, pleading prayers, and trying to please God and mom to avoid wrath. Unwinding those attitudes is my life's work. I now understand, this is where I get into karma. I now understand, I just don't use that word. I now understand that judging others is linked to judging myself. Ironically enough, that's what Jesus said, yet the Christians I've known are judgmental. Acceptance of all includes me. Condemnation of any includes me. That's why I'm humanist. It seems simple, and I don't know why humanism isn't more common. The heart of my humanist philosophy is unconditional love. Judging anyone as less than is a dangerous habit to develop. If I allow myself to rate, rank, and label humans, I accept the concept. Then my worth is subject to scrutiny by me and by others. Better, it's better to consider the behavior, the entire act of ranking humans to be off limits. Loving others as much as I love myself benefits me immensely because sometimes I find it easier to show others respect while tearing myself down from the inside. Loving all means all, including me, including people I don't understand. I thought of that when you said you help others because because it may be someone helping you someday, or that. I mean, that made me think of that because my concept of the world as being one in which we can love and help each other means that I get to give it and receive it. Thank you. It's funny that, thank you. You say nice things. I do like compliments. Who doesn't? Um, you spelled it both ways. Both of those are words. The complement with an E means going together, and compliment with an I means uh, kind words, praise. Um, I like compliments. One of the questions in this group, uh, one of the reasons I write this kind of stuff is that I'm in this group where we have prompts, different questions, and then we write whatever it makes us think about. And one of them was, how good are you at accepting compliments? One of my ideas about compliments is uh, if I'm free to like what I like, then you're free to like what you like. And if what you like is me or something I've made or done, then like it's not my business to judge you. It sounds weird because what I'm saying is, um, if you like me and maybe I'm in a bad mood and I don't like me or I don't like the way I look today or whatever, but it's not my place to control what you like and don't like. Um, so part of my respect is to allow you to pay pay me compliments. I like what I like is truth. What I like is honesty. What I like is you know getting along with others authentically, sincerely. So compliments kind of fall into that. Uh, I had. What do you mean by you try to work with compliments? Mm, 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 mm. So I used to feel that way too. I have different I have different foundational beliefs than a lot of other people. So sometimes when people give me a compliment, um, right, but we don't have to agree with the way someone else feels in order to accept their right to feel that way, even if it's about us. Does that make sense? So, um, and certainly, compliments are certainly better than being condemned. Um, so it's sort of like, you know, if I believe, let's say I think I look terrible and the work I make is terrible. Let's just say that. Well, I still deserve to exist. I don't deserve to be, uh, you know, banned or imprisoned or uh, exterminated because I might not be the best looking, best working person. I know that's so extreme, but it's just like I think we have to accept all different levels of existence and it applies to us. Um, yeah, if someone likes, there's a lot of, there are a lot of scripted responses to someone paying a compliment. One of the ones I hate is someone will say, "Oh, I love that jacket and a coat, that hat, that hat. Who wears hats? Um, I love those shoes." And then someone will say, "Oh, thanks, they're on sale, or they were free, or they were a gift, or I've had these for years, or whatever." That's a People are so messed up about money that that's so the first thing that some people think about when they're paid a compliment is that they're embarrassed about the money, the financial value. Um, but I like, oh wow, thank you. Now, sometimes somebody will say they like a painting of mine, and this will sound really arrogant maybe, but I'll say, "Oh, I do too." Like, I love this one because in a way, I'm just reacting alongside of them to Like I'm excited to find somebody who likes something that I like. Um, but yeah, I mean, someone complimented how I looked the other day, and it was a restaurant, and I went shortly after I went to the bathroom, and when I looked at myself in the mirror, I came back and I said, I look terrible. What do you mean I look good? Anyway, so I'm not saying I'm good at it. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you got new shoes. Um, I recently told a young friend that they were taller and they thanked me, and I thought, like, I don't think people work hard. Oh, so when I was in college, I studied psychology, and one of the things that we focused on, or that I focused on a lot, was the difference between you are and you do compliments. In other words, like, um, it's healthier to be complimented on something like you worked hard, you did a good job, you made that project, um, successful. You got to a good result. That's like a healthy way of complimenting because you are learning to do that again. But people love compliments like you are handsome, you are beautiful, your eyes are gorgeous, and people just love these, you are so smart. People love these compliments that they put no effort into, that are you are compliments versus you did compliments. And I certainly grew up that way. One time, I mean, this is a terrible example, but um, I mean, it's terrible because it shows my vanity and I mean, maybe. Uh, when I was young, I had an older sister who, uh, I mean, apparently, well, I mean, she did better than I did in school. But one of the ways that my mother would talk to me about it would be to say, oh, okay, so at some point we had to take IQ tests. And so my mom said to me, you're so much smarter than your sister. I don't know why you don't get as good grades as she did. And like that, I think is very unhealthy and also hilarious to me because as I explained it to uh, others, I can't ever explain anything to my mom, but as I explained it to others, I was like, I was already getting the compliment that I wanted was you're smarter than, everybody else. The grade, I didn't need to prove it by getting the grades. Like, it seemed like my vanity wanted the compliment that I was superior. And my mother was giving it to me while saying I should work harder. And my brain was thinking, oh, but I don't need to because I've already received the affirmation that I'm the smartest. Um, Nowadays, I mean, this is the origins. This is the path I went on to become someone who I don't really believe in intelligence the way most people talk about it. Think that um, I think the most I think the time we spend focusing on something is like what determines. our results. It's not that I don't believe in any innate abilities, but I think that it's really hard to figure out. I also think it's unhealthy or unsafe to be obsessed with that. I think it's, I think if given the resources, given the time, given the, and, yes, there's such a thing as what I'm interested in studying is going to affect where I put my attention. Um, I just feel it's a healthier way of looking at things. Like if I the unhealthy way, like I could say, I'll never understand math and science. But then a healthy way would be to say, if I applied myself to those disciplines, if I listened, if I read, if I thought about it, if I went to classes, then yeah, I think I could understand math and science better than I do. It's just that I have a limited lifespan, and I have chosen to focus on uh, language and art instead of chemistry and physics and biology. I just, I only absorbed those, the minimum requirement to get through school. Yeah, you're 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 a nice I guess a lot of people call that emotional intelligence, where you have awareness of what others are feeling and you want to help. The truth is, I know I'm not going to be able to understand fully all this stuff, like what, how to categorize existence. And I choose not to go down paths that I think are harmful, or I try not to. And that includes a lot of this sort of ranking. Um, uh, Here's an example. I talked about politics earlier, and so it's very common for liberals and leftists to condemn the stupidity of conservative and right wing voters. And it's not that I don't, I'm drawn to those. It's emotionally cathartic. It seems like a good explanation, oh, people are voting against their own best interests, they're ignorant, they're racist, whatever. All of that is appealing and feels true, but I don't think it's helpful in improving me or improving society. I think it's more helpful for me to think, why are people drawn to this, you know? And the way I look at intelligence having to do with attention, it's to say, um, a lot of people, first of all, in the US, a huge chunk of people don't vote at all. Um, a huge chunk of people don't see specific differences in their lives no matter what. Um, and a lot of people, probably the majority, don't have the time, the resources to understand what's happening. So they get spoon-fed advertisements. And that's always going to favor the people with the most money because they spend the most money on media. And I think it doesn't make sense for me to feel angry or belittle or call stupid the individual people without power who are voting, the wrong way. I do feel those feelings. I get mad. I mean, there are certain friends that I've sort of cut off, but philosophically, I don't think it helps for me to judge them. I know I've gotten kind of off track. When you said, um, so I believe when you vote, I mean, you have more than two parties because there's something about the structure of your voting that enables small parties to have some power. But in the US and in the UK, I believe, the the I should just say the US. I don't know the UK. But in the US, they're only it's winner take all, whoever gets 50.1%. Yeah, because of the system though. I mean, a lot of people get mad at only having two choices, but like there is no it's a product of the math of the system that was put in place by, bad people who a lot of Americans revere. But but even if you think they're good people, they didn't have the ability to design a perfect government in uh, in the 1700s, um, and the the structure of our government is impossible to change um, without causing a lot of. I mean, it's probably not possible to change our government structure without violence. So we just keep going with this bad system. Well, I'm anti-violence. Okay, so my this is something I struggle with because my beliefs are to be respectful of all humans, all life, actually. Um, so I don't believe that you can, liberate somebody by shooting them. Um, so I just don't know what to do. But I wanted to go back to something you said that if you see people who are unhappy and unhealthy, you want to help them, you have to help them, but this is something that breaks you. Because I guess it breaks your spirit. I mean, sometimes when you're so, I mean, I felt that way when I follow what's going on in the world. It can feel too much. It feels overwhelming. Yeah, I don't know. Because someone will say to you, I mean, maybe someone will say, you can't let it get to you. Um, you have to think of yourself first, or you have to just accept, oh, this is the way things are, like that kind of thing, maybe. I read I read a post after the most most recent protests in the U.S. and someone was saying like, how bad is it? It's so bad that it was like my 76-year-old mother, uh, or mother-in-law or aunt or somebody, um, marched in the protest the first for the first time in her life. And I had a couple of thoughts about that. One is things were not 100% okay until last week or January. So the fact that someone could live 7, almost 8 decades, well, you can take off 20 for childhood, but the fact that somebody could be an adult for 55 years and be totally fine with racial and gender inequality, you know, financial, living in a rigged financial system. I mean, these are or hunger, people living in the streets. Like these, the fact that someone can live and accept that is the reason that things are as bad as they are now. Like everything is cumulative. It didn't happen suddenly. In order for a far right person, a politician, to appeal to people, that means that there are decades of problems that are not being addressed. And so, I mean, this is where, now I tell you, I don't get, this is one of the reasons why I stream, because I can say anything I want. And it gets buried in, I mean, you have to, like, we're 2.5 hours into this stream. So, um, like, I didn't, I didn't reply, this person is proud of this older woman going to her first protest. I didn't reply, "Uh, she's the problem, the fact that she could live 50 years and be happy, be complacent, you know, that's the reason we're in this mess." Like that would be me being a nasty, me being antagonistic, me starting a fight online, which is silly. But I mean, I hope, yeah, I get inspired by younger people that I know, so I hope you're right about that. But there are a lot of dollars being spent to make young people worse. I mean, again, it comes back to money. It's it's getting potentially stormy. We can watch the storm together. Um, I agree with you. Of course, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but like he came from South Africa to the U.S. to The person before him who was the most destructive before Elon was Rupert Murdoch, who came from Australia, and then I mean he anyway, all these English speaking colonies, former colonies, um, the people end up coming here and causing so much destruction. I'm surprised that you're 30. I think that's great. I would have guessed that you were in your early 20s. I'm 52. Um, I mean, I'm glad that you're. What do I mean? I'm glad that you're 30. I don't know what I mean. Just that not everybody on this platform is. It's not only young. I'm not the. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hmm. Oh, if you want to tell me about the party that you voted for, I'd enjoy hearing about it from you. I could look it up, but if you want to tell me what you like about them and why you voted for them, I'll read it as soon as I sit back down. Well, I wanted to. I can't get it to go up more. It just doesn't seem to want to change. Hmm. I think the words you said are I mean they make the most sense, which is just no matter who it is, no one should have that much money, that much control in a system. It's not it's just not good for the larger society. I'm gonna ramble a little bit about some compliments you paid me. Um, somewhere you said I mean, you've said so many nice things. You said I'm a great person. Um, so of course I don't really know how to process that because I don't think it's natural for anybody who's not some kind of egomaniac to to understand that kind of compliment. But we can like it and accept it. And I mean, it's more of an affirmation because I try to do things. Oh! I know what I was gonna get to. I was talking about attention and focus. And so I have spent a lot of my life focused on, um, well, self improvement, understanding, learning, growing beyond the the limits that I was born into. I want when there's something I don't totally get, my response isn't that I hate it and it shouldn't exist. My response is, I wonder what it is that I'm not getting about it. I wonder how it appeals to others, but I don't understand it. Um, so these are the choices that this is what I've chosen my to spend my time developing, and not coincidentally, I am not a financial success. I'm not, I'm not pleasing my community or my society. You know, I've I've chosen to spend my time reading and learning and reflecting. And I believe that is so if you and others, you know, pay me compliments as to my character, I say, well, I think that is it's not natural. I mean, it's not just something that happened in my genes, it's what I've chosen to work on in my life. And because time is limited, I haven't worked on other things. I am not in, I don't have kids. I'm not in a marriage. I was in a marriage, sort of. And it wasn't my choice to end it. And anyway, it just like all the things that have happened, I've learned from, and that's the path I've chosen. I've chosen to, I've chosen the slow, long path instead of quick answers. Okay, I'm going to read. Of course, I know who Karl Marx is. I'm going to read what you wrote. I voted for the left because they want rents capped. Yep. Yes. Oh, yeah. Right. So, yeah, I agree with your politics. I do. I didn't study communism very much. I actually I studied Soviet history. Um, but yeah, I think, yeah, I wasn't saying that it was. I was just thinking about what I had studied. Um, right. I mean, um, to me, democracy is important. Like some people look at what's happening in the U.S. as as an example of as evidence that democracy doesn't work, but it's not. But the U.S. isn't democracy. So any more than the USSR was communism or China or you know like none of the none of these countries in practice follow the philosophies. Anyway, I like yes, 100% agree with that. Democracy doesn't work with capitalism. Yes. I mean, capitalism is in and of itself a hierarchy. Um, it is anti-democratic. The the people who founded the U.S. were basically oligarchs. Um, they were wealthy and influential, and so when they when they took when the U.S. Revolution wasn't a class revolution, it was just a revolution of location. It was going from a colony to local control, but it was still keeping the rich and powerful uh, in control. So, and some of the words in the U.S. founding documents are very inspiring, but in a way, it's like the marketing. Those were the marketing for the intentionally corrupt system that was put into place. There was there was a sense that by following capitalism, they would uh, 52 uh, Pfund zwei. Um, um, but I don't know how to say like Pfund. I don't know. I'm 2 and 50. Hmm. Yeah, I was born and raised in the U.S. I, to the extent that I'm different, I'm gay. So from an early age, I felt, even though I was raised in a upper class white uh, privileged, I felt in inside myself, I felt like an outcast, and I was very sympathetic towards others. I was always interested in relationships and friendships with others. Um, well, Reagan, AIDS, Clinton, 9/11. Um, I think it's just a way that I was different, so I wasn't going to just fit into the groups in which I was born. And so every time I questioned things, I became, I, my answer was to leave the majority group. But I did have a crisis. Um, the person I liked the most growing up was a godfather who died of AIDS, a friend of my mother's who she didn't know was gay. He hid his sexuality until later. Um, he was married, he had children, and then over time he came out and divorced and became gay. Yeah, he was. Um, so I was Catholic, I was baptized, and my mother chose two friends to be my godfather and godmother um, in the church ceremony. And they weren't a couple, they were two different friends of hers. And the funny thing is the man became, I mean, the man was gay, she didn't know. And the woman became married to a man who came out eventually as gay. Um, a crisis, I mean, these are personal. My mother and father divorced, separated when I was so young that I never knew my father. Um, so my whole childhood was with a single mom in a upper class, like suburban environment, religious. Um, Feminism was never really spoken of, or definitely not spoken of positively in my childhood environment. But the fact that my mother and therefore me, and her, I mean, like my mother and her children were treated differently because she was a single mom. Um, there are just so many things that can open your eyes if you pay attention. Yeah, I mean, mine divorced before I was one. So did I explain the Godfather thing? There's supposed to be the adults who um if something happened to my mother, they would raise me in the Catholic faith. But in reality, it usually just becomes like a an extra excuse for an uncle, a non-blood related uncle and aunt. Yeah, so mine, so this guy, I really, he didn't live here locally, um, but he died from AIDS in the mid 90s when I was in college. And he's the one adult who I really wish I had been able to have a stronger relationship with. That was a crisis to me. Well, he wasn't because um, I didn't see him very often. What made him important was that he was I'm trying to think of my words are not coming. Um, he was different. My mother and her family valued um, I don't know, obedience, fitting in, um, conformity. My mother and her family valued conformity. My father and his family were completely separated from us. So I had zero influence from them. And this person who my mom was close friends with in childhood, and he was the one person who they tolerated, they respected him, they liked him. He was funny, he was likable, he was smart. He was smart. That's important to me. I know earlier I was talking about intelligence and me not totally believing it, but back then I did. But what I would say now is that he devoted resources to learning and reading and speaking in a way that was entertain. Like I liked. He could have been a writer, you know. He did do some writing, but it was for it was for capitalism. But he was just he was a liberal, you know. He had and nobody in my family was a liberal, but they liked him because they had always known him and he was appealing. He was funny. And so this was a guy, I mean, he would only visit every so often, but he would say things that weren't allowed in my family. And people would just laugh. And I felt like, oh my gosh, it's freedom. He, you know, he could say things against conservative religion, against conservative politicians, and they wouldn't agree with him, but they wouldn't throw him out of the house, and they would laugh. So he was very appealing to me as a example of individuality, not conformity. But I wasn't out to myself or to anybody. And then he died. So, um, but in terms of, because your original question had to do with different like crisis points in the US. So Reagan pushed the country very far right politically, economically. I mean, he set in motion all that's wrong today. And this guy would have been, would have hated him. Oh, but also Reagan denied the importance of AIDS. So there was no, it was a crisis. I was only aware, I mean, it was kind of because it affected my own this man who was important to me. That was kind of a US crisis that I lived through, the AIDS epidemic. I well, I was, I'm gonna guess, like 21 when he died, maybe 22. I mean, I was old enough, like I could have known him better, but I was going through some really hard times of my own. Um, there was a brief period of time when I was changing into an adult, and my grandfather died, whom I would have liked to have known better. My This godfather died, and my sister got married, and in a way, that was the end of our ability to have the kind of relationship I had hoped that we would have as two young adults. Um, and I lost all my friends in college because of I was repressing my sexuality. I was acting weird. I was depressed. And they weren't very good friends. And so during a very brief period of time, I lost a lot of people who I felt connected to, or I felt like I could potentially have been connected to. And all around 2021, 22. And I would drink a lot of alcohol to escape. And in some ways, I did that for 25 years, maybe, drinking too much. Hmm. I would say, I don't know you, but this is so nice. I mean, I'm doing all the talking, but thank you for listening. Maybe that's why you talked about Discord. Maybe it would be more equitable conversation. Um, I mean, there are other tools we could consider, but I mean, if you felt up to it, you can find me at some of my links, and we could keep chatting. Um, I drink. I still. No, I I'm not a prohibitionist of alcohol. I just don't. I don't have a. I don't have much of a relationship with it anymore. Um, I don't use it as a psychological medication. So I'll just put it that way. I mean, I might like, oh, let's have a fun. I mean, just no. I don't. I used to drink um, to become mindless. Um, like I could see myself. I'm trying to imagine if I were somewhere safe, like on a beach holiday. I think it could be fun to lose, uh, control. But and I mean, I'll drink like I enjoy wine and cocktails. I just had a cocktail last Saturday and another one. I've had two drinks in the past week, but like in the old days, it would have been, my goodness, like 50 drinks in a week. I don't know. That's just a guess. Um, I'm dating someone who doesn't drink, so but also that's long distance, so um I don't see them every day. I only see them every few months. Um, I don't know if I ever realized, put it in perspective of losing all those connections and potential connections at in a short period of time around 21, 22. I was really, really unhappy in my 20s. And I mean, there haven't been very many times in my life when I've been happy for a sustained period of time. But I feel, despite my struggles now, I feel happier now, because my happiness isn't dependent on spending money or drinking alcohol to forget. When I feel happy now, it's just like it's a lot more uh, real. Well, you said several times, but do you mean several times a week? Or no, but I'm curious. Oh, so you get drunk several nights a week? Um, so the question, okay, so what I think, I mean, I'm not a therapist, but I think the question is to ask, are you happy? And um, and to what extent is it, what parts of it are within your control? What's within your control? And so for my, yeah, I'm absorbing what you're saying. So for me, I mean, I don't have great advice because like the way I learned to spend less was that I lost money. I didn't have money to spend anymore. Well, what I mean is when I'm not happy about the state of the world, and that's not within my control. But I used to drink a lot to cope with it, but I still wasn't happy. Or like I spent a lot for brief moments of relief, but overall I wasn't happy. So, in terms of results, I wasn't making myself happier with what I was doing. And that was in my control. And so I started, asking myself, well, what could I do that I can control that might help me feel happier? And for me, I spent money by leaving jobs I hated. I mean, like basically, there's different ways of looking at things, but like I used to have more money. I used to work places that I didn't like, but that funded my life. But since I wasn't happy anyway, I kind of had this decision that it was worth it to spend the money, so to speak, the money that I was making. I mean, I can't give advice because I'm not doing great, but I have different problems than I used to have. Um, my goals are to be able to make decisions, and when I would often feel just out of control and unable to make decisions, unable to think, unable to remember things, living really fast, spending money and drinking and like I spent decades not being able to read books because they took too much concentration. And I would just say, "Oh, I have ADHD and um books are boring or, I'm into movies or whatever." But I missed it. I missed books. Now, I'll say mostly I listen to audiobooks. So I'm not like I mean that's still according to some people that's cheating. But but I've enjoyed so many, when I say I wasn't able to read books, I wasn't able to read fiction. I liked nonfiction. I liked learning. I liked researching. But fiction felt like, how can I care about these things that aren't real and I don't know. I couldn't focus on it. And now I want to write fiction. So like that's a big change. Um, and I feel like I have a better memory and um and to me these things are linked to the fact that these things are linked to the fact that I'm no longer working. I'm no longer expending the majority of my energy uh, for something that's making my life and the world worse. I'm devoting my time to me it's really hard to talk about because like I'm not doing like because I lost money, because I lost my health insurance, which I mean, that at least you don't have that. Um, my health has gotten worse, my physical health. I feel like my mental health has gotten better while my physical health has gotten worse. So I'm learning how to deal with that. Um, if I could afford it, I'd move to Europe because I like a lot of European values, but it's too uh, just the travel. I mean, there are a lot of things that make it less appealing to me than Mexico. Um, and I only speak English, pero I've studied Spanish and French, so I'm an intermediate in those two languages. Um, I mean, you know yourself. If you're like, if someone asks you how are you doing, all right, I I hear you. Well, I mean, I just can't afford. I've heard wonderful things about Berlin, but I can't afford the flight plus the living expenses. I have a um I have a romantic view of Mexico, and I really would like to be um I don't know. I if I could, I would be a part of the community. I'll tell you what I like about Mexico. I feel that they, unlike the US, I feel that Mexico is aware of the fact that they are a country made up of like colonizers and the colonized. They are descendant, like there is an awareness of the that they are both the oppressors and the oppressed, and that reflects in their culture, in their museums. In I mean, I may be reading too much into it because, um, but I just feel a strong sense because I mean, I am of the New World. I am, born in the United States. I mean, not to be mean to you, but there are a lot of Europeans who are very full of themselves in terms of their position in the world. And I mean, as a person in the US, it's easy for me to agree with every criticism that a European might make about the United States. But at the same time, in terms of the global hierarchy, uh, Europeans are not innocent of causing problems and in giving and creating the U.S. Uh, is one of the biggest ones. But you want to maybe. I mean, I like the idea, but also I've been doing this for 3 hours, so I'm not sure. But let me just click on. I'm gonna follow you. How do I do that? Oh, yeah. How do we do that? How do we do that, sir? No, wait. No, I was asking how do we stream with 0 viewers? I mean, we could always do um I don't know. Um are you still there? Um I don't know answers. Yeah, yeah. So is that I mean maybe I will join Discord, but like I'm probably yeah, but you've been on this app longer than I have, so if you don't know how to do it, um, then how can you expect me to know how to do it? Um, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I mean it's probably something we need to do with a different app, but um, I'm I mean, I hope you're not I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss you. I'm it's something we could try eventually. I feel like I'm kind of winding down. Um, I might cook dinner soon or try to do something offline. Um, but um, I don't know answers. I mean, one of the things I was gonna say, or I did start to say, was like I just ran out of money, so then spending money wasn't an option for me. Um, because I stopped working for jobs that I hated, so I I started spending money on my mental health instead of on my instead of on distractions. But and I don't know. I enjoyed talking. You seem to be a very caring person. I do think we should talk again. Um, Maybe we can exchange information somehow. Um, yeah, you are not alone too. Uh, do you have any? Hey, here's a nice thing to end on, maybe. Do you have any media recommendations, music, movies, links? Um, I'm sending you different ways to find me if you're interested. Um, I know, but that's the fun of it. I would like to hear somebody else's music taste. Music's a tough one for me because I'm not that into it anymore. Now, all I got was three asterisks, but it didn't come through. It just showed up like this. Oh, maybe I have, it just showed up like that. Maybe I don't allow, maybe I've got settings where someone else can't share a link. I don't know. Arr. Just tell me the title and artist, if you don't mind. Okay. So when I hang up, I'll go listen to that. Um, Thanks for making this fun. And I've got it open in a different window. Well, thank you. Um, all right, I'm gonna take off. I do this on an irregular schedule, so if I see you again, I'll see you again. And I shared some other links if you want to try to contact me somehow. Okay, bye.